Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a fuel economy test with my Gen 3 Raptor. Now, I need to put down some baseline stuff before we get into this video. First off, my Raptor has the 37 Performance package, which does affect fuel economy. Having larger tires means I'm not going to get as good fuel economy as if I had a Raptor with the 35 package. So if you own a 35 package Raptor, you'll be able to get better fuel economy than me. But we are going to test out a little hack with the Raptor. You guys know that I did a test with the T-Rex, and I increased my fuel economy by a pretty large margin by putting the truck into snow mode. I think I figured out a pretty similar hack with the Raptor to help increase the fuel economy. Now, before starting this video, we got to talk about what I'm getting from a fuel economy rating perspective. I'm getting about 14 to 15 miles per gallon, depending on the type of driving that I do. Sometimes 16 miles per gallon, but it's more like 14, 15. So if I can get better than that, then I think that that'll be a big win. And then before we get in the video, as always, link to my car buying guide in the description down below if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car. Let's get into the fuel economy test. Okay, so a few things. First off, I'm not going to be driving without air conditioning or anything like that. Like, I'm not just going to try to, fully maximize the fuel economy for today's video. It's like, I'm just going to drive normal. So I've got my AC on, I've got my air conditioned seat on as well. And you guys can see right now, just under 16 miles per gallon. And that is with some highway driving. But here is what I think will get us better fuel economy compared to normal. So first off, suspension set to sport mode. I know this might sound weird, but we'll be able to carry a little bit more speed through corners, which, right, means that we'll be braking less, which means we'll be using the engine less, which means that we might be able to get better fuel economy. But the biggest thing is actually putting the exhaust into quiet mode. I think this, might actually work. I did test this yesterday and I got some pretty crazy numbers, so we'll see if I can, replicate that over a long drive. But my guess is when you have the valves fully open and everything's going out, I think that the truck is burning a little bit more fuel for sound reasons. And so I think putting it in the quiet mode, it's going to be a little bit more efficient. That's at least my guess. As for steering, I'm just going to leave it in normal mode for today's video. Now, you guys are probably wondering drive mode. I'm just going to keep it normal mode because if I put it in any other drive mode, it either makes me go into four-wheel drive for that drive mode and it won't let me go back into two-wheel drive, or it makes the transmission shift so aggressive and at such high RPMs that we're obviously not going to get great fuel economy. So it seems like normal mode is the route to go. So I've thrown on the GoPro for just a minute here so I can kind of show you guys what's happening real time. Now, obviously these are not final ratings. This is like literally the start of the drive. We'll obviously get to the final ratings later in the video. But here's what I'm noticing, again, with having the suspension set to sport, and I'm actually going to put the steering into sport now because it feels like a little bit too light having the suspension in sport and the steering in normal because the truck is like so sharp with the turn in, and then the steering's like, it kind of feels like a Wrangler 392 in a sense, with the Fox shocks at least, because that thing actually corners pretty well. But anyways, what I'm noticing so far is, so having it in the normal mode and having the valves turned off, it seems like the truck shifts a little bit sooner, just like when the T-Rex was in the snow mode. It seems like the truck, oh, this is perfect. This is gonna get us there. We just rolling through this green light. But it seems like the truck is shifting at lower RPMs. You guys can see it just literally shifted at like 1600 RPMs. Okay, now obviously I'm not going like super deep into the throttle, but again, I imagine that, when I daily drive this truck, I'm not going full throttle. Like, there's no, you're gonna break the speed limit, right? So the point that I'm trying to make is it seems like it shifts a little bit sooner, and it almost feels like torqueier in a sense on the low end. I don't know why, but it seems like I'm not like losing it. Like when the exhaust valves are fully open, it seems like a lot just goes towards the sound, whereas this, I don't know, it feels a little bit better. But something to mention, just like all other turbocharged vehicles, the less time you spend in the turbos, the better, right? Because as soon as you get into those turbos, right, it starts just going through fuel like crazy. The regular F-150 proved that, because in a regular F-150, when you towed with it with EcoBoost, its fuel economy rating just plummeted. And it was just because you go into the turbos. But then when the truck was unloaded, people would be able to get crazy good fuel economy, again, with a regular F-150. And so similar situation with the Raptor. Obviously, we're not going to be towing anything in today's video, and that person has a cool Bronco Sasquatch behind me. But the point that I'm trying to make is, if you let the truck shift at lower RPMs, just keep it in automatic mode, and you don't like dive super deep into the throttle, then you're going to be able to get better fuel economy. 20 look at that, 29.6 miles per gallon. Again, a lot of that was downhill, so we can't count this. This is not even relevant. Oh, and the other thing is, it's not doing auto stop start right now because I've got a lot of air conditioned functions on. But what I've noticed is if you really want to save on fuel, if you just turn the AC off, the truck does auto stop start almost every single time you stop, and then that is going to help you get a slightly better rating. But I'll get back to you guys once I get into the highway. We're getting up onto the highway here, and something that's awesome about the Raptor actually is that it's got quite a bit of torque, 510 pound-feet of torque, which is really solid for a half-ton truck, and it's got a 4:10 axle ratio. Now that is not the best axle ratio for highway cruising. It's actually quite the opposite. It's great for off-roading, but because it has such low gearing for a pickup truck, the torque, between the torque and the gearing, it just really pushes. So again, you can actually stay at relatively low RPMs, and the truck just gets up and moves. And so again, it helps you kind of stay out of the turbos, which is pretty cool. Now we're sitting here at 2,000 RPMs. I'm curious to see what gear it's in. So that's at 10th gear. So you guys can see again here, if I put it in the manual mode, we're in 10th. So you guys can see the flow of traffic here in Utah is pretty quick. So for those of you that live on like the East Coast and you have a lot of interstate and highway that is only like 60 to maybe 65 miles an hour, you're actually gonna be able to get even better fuel economy because you're gonna be going at lower speeds. So if I actually, oh, there's a Subaru right there. Let me see if I can get over into the slow lane here. This Subaru doesn't want me to get over. They literally were trying to block me. I hate Subaru drivers sometimes so much here in Utah. They are so annoying. They pull out of nowhere, then their cars are slow, and it just, yeah. Well, this is still going pretty quick here in the slow lane. Let's see if we can, okay. So we're just under 70 miles an hour. Cruising. Just over. Still would be able to get, yeah, definitely. I mean, so you can see we're under 2,000 RPMs, which is ideal. So if you wanted to obviously maximize on the interstate, probably somewhere around this. Because you can see we're kind of dipping down below the average every so often. But then, and that's because we're kind of slightly going uphill. But once we go downhill, then, and you can see, you know, kind of have things have leveled out. Now we're going slightly above the average. So it's going to keep, it looks like it's going to keep it right around that 20 miles per gallon. Again, with the 37 package, if I had 35s, I would get even better, you know, at this speed range. But we're going to pick up the pace just a little bit here. And notice how I'm just barely getting in to the throttle here. So like the RPMs are barely climbing. Fuel economy is obviously going down. But it's, I mean, again, on a highway situation, unless you're wanting to drive like a crazy person and lane, you know, weave and all that kind of stuff, you don't need to go full throttle, right? Obviously, if you want to pass someone in the passing lane, it's a different story. But if you're just trying to, you know, get up to speed so you can keep up with the bad boys in the fast lane, right? So notice that, I mean, still around 2,000 RPMs at this speed. We're still not even keeping up with the people in the fast lane. That's crazy. How fast you be? Look at that. They're leaving us in the dust. We gotta catch up with the flow of traffic. So yeah, hovering around 2,000 RPMs. So I imagine that you'd probably, looking at this, seeing how the fuel economy is kind of waving back and forth, I'm gonna guess closer to 18. Yeah. Yeah, with where it's kind of going, fluctuating between, I'm guessing closer to 18 miles per gallon. Which again, for the 37 package is better than what the EPA rates it at. The EPA rates this truck at 16 miles per gallon on the highway. And that's at like 60 miles an hour. So the fact that we're able to go this quick, again, still not even keeping up. I'm gonna have to change lanes because I can't keep up with these people. That we're able to get better. Again, 35 package, that means you'd probably be able to get, I don't know, maybe like a mile or two per gallon more. That's impressive. It'll be interesting to see how the truck performs throughout the day though. I figured that I'd give you guys a fuel economy update because I'm stuck in bumper to bumper traffic because, well, it's Utah and people literally rear end each other on the highway every single day. It's, yeah. But there's a lot of ambulances, so this one might not be too good of a rear ending. But anyways, let's give a fuel economy update as we, well, there's a fire truck actually. 19.5 miles per gallon is what we are at so far, and let that go by. 19.5, that is significantly better than what I normally get because I normally get, you know, closer, like I said, 15 miles per gallon. One thing to mention is this is not just all highway cruising. I have made, let's see, I stopped at Brent Brown Toyota, and then I stopped at National GMC, so I've made 2 stops so far. I've cruised through most of Salt Lake until this accident situation, so I'm sure my fuel economy will go down a little bit because when you're bumper to bumper traffic, you're not exactly getting the best fuel economy, but this is promising so far. Over like 4 miles per gallon better. It's pretty good. Okay, so before I show you guys the final fuel economy number, I do need to mention that I was stuck in traffic for 2 hours today, and this was bumper to bumper traffic, so this did affect the number quite a bit. You guys can see here, 17.3 miles per gallon, which is still about 2 to 3 miles per gallon better than what I normally get. On this particular commute, it's more like 3-ish miles per gallon better than what I normally get. Now, that being said, if I was not in the bumper to bumper traffic / parking lot, basically, because it was ridiculous. Like I had to do so many reroutes and everything, and it was horrible. It was like the worst possible conditions for a fuel economy test like this. I would have gotten closer to 20 miles per gallon because I was doing, like, before, like, I was doing that whole thing, I was, like, around, like, 19 and a half, and I did crest 20 a couple times. I'm going to redo this test. I'm not going to make a video about it, but I do that commute all the time up to Layton, Utah. And so, again, I think I'm going to be able to get around, like, 19, 20 miles per gallon. And so, worst case scenario, 17 miles per gallon if you close the valves on the exhaust, which you guys can see I have it open in Baja mode right now because, well, I wanted to hear it for just a second. But anyways, close the valve, so quiet mode with the exhaust, like I said at the beginning of the video, sport suspension, and you will get better fuel economy than what you normally get with your Raptor.